GM, everyone. GM, sorry for the late start. Hope you are all doing well and welcome to the 10th episode of The Hub, a Farcaster developer focused podcast right here on the GM Farcaster network. My name is dylsteck.eth. Hope you're all doing well. And we're here today to go through some links around the top developer updates on Farcaster. To be honest, I think we're in an interesting place where some things are a little bit slower, or maybe there's some areas I think there isn't as much news on, but people are still building the overall vibes in crypto are there's a lot of activity to say the least without going into other things. But yeah, I just want to go over some of the top updates that I've seen at least. We can go into some of it and then hopefully we'll have even more to talk about in the future, even more guests, etc., to chat through. But want to make sure that this show is also just consistently a good place to go to get any of these updates, regardless of how many or how few there are. No matter who else we're talking to, I'm always going to try and just be here and give that information to you live. So here we are, and let's start going through some of the top developer related links. The first here is from V that apparently Dan Finley from MetaMask's account had been compromised due to a registrar that had locked up the email domain. um, I think this is really interesting. Basically, what happened was some message was sent through Dan Finley's account, but it was a Warpcast signer. Um, yeah, really curious to hear more here. It seems like something, yeah, happened with the email, but maybe they're going to add two-factor auth. Um, yeah, I don't know. Crypto is it's interesting because it's an industry where people are trying to be very privacy preserving, but yet, um, because of how like handling that privacy works, there's still these little cracks where things can happen. But obviously, very much so trust the Merkle team, and so I'm sure they will get that situated. This is a really cool product I saw from Stefan Yo. It is kind of like Facebook Poke, but on Farcaster. You can just send a yo. We can try it right here. I have to log in, so maybe we won't because I don't want to go to my phone right now. But I think you essentially just have a list of people's names and you send them a yo, and then they get a notification. I think that was fun. Cool to just build those little ideas on V2 frames. All right, this is a great one that we can go through. Last week we had the bi-weekly Farcaster dev call. And I'm just going to go through what they've started to do since about last September or so, which I really like, is that they're structuring all of their dev calls in terms of the top priorities internally, which they were kind of doing something similar before, but just having it structured that way even more so helps you understand, okay, this is the order they're working in, this is the high level overview, etc. So the top priority in crypto for frames, they've shipped V2 frames on mobile and web. There's also this really nice open source minting frame you can check out if you want to. It's just configured to this one-time mint that they did. They said they're going to do other open editions though, and you'll get a notification. But this is great if you want to fork it and really easy to set up for yourself. Just plug in a new contract address, etc. Use a sign in with your wallet. So this is a really nice frame. But that's open source. A lot of good templates open source if you want to build a V2 frame, show you how easy it is and also how easy it is to convert an existing crypto app, PWA, etc. Next is they're working more on frame auths. They're signing with Farcaster, but I think there's other stuff they're trying to do there. Working on additional open source frames and better discovery. Definitely +1 to discovery. Curious to see what that looks like. And then on wallet, as you may recall, for a while, they've been talking about having an embedded wallet to make it easier to take actions in the app instead of going back to your wallet app and approving stuff. Although I will say mobile wallet protocol, which they use for Rainbow and Coinbase Wallet for their frame transactions, is quite good. But I totally understand having it in one app is even more frictionless. They say they hope to have something in public beta by the end of January. There's only a week and a half left or so of January, so we'll see there. I also saw, which we'll get to later, some stuff with Super. Super is working on an embedded wallet, so really curious to see what all this embedded wallet stuff looks like because I feel like a lot of crypto apps want to be embedded wallets and a lot of wallets want to be crypto apps. And so wallets taking crypto apps taking the wallet approach first and maybe beating some wallets to do the reverse integration. I think it's going to be cool to see what happens with that strategy. Let me just see as well. Did my post get out to anyone? That's all right. Okay, and let's go now to social. So they shipped token links. If you hadn't seen token links, essentially you can share a ticker to a token, and then it can take you to the deck screener page for the token. Um, I don't know if they're going to do this, but I imagine with an embedded wallet, it's even easier to just interface a friends style, take a transaction right there. Again, I don't know how much they're going to lean into it, but that's the kind of world of embeddedness I think will be cool if you find the right UX, the right balance, instead of just overloading the user with every single option. But yeah, you can click like degen and it shows you the token. You can go here and copy the contract address, see it on deck screener, etc. So they shipped that. They shipped low connectivity data usage improvements and direct cast bug fixes. I still have certain data usage improvements, but maybe that's something I can flag separately then. Rewards and invites. There's bonuses for invites to the weekly competition, and they're exploring additional free invites on Warpcast. I will say as well with the weekly rewards, I think it's great that they're running that as a V2 frame, something that you can dog food, but also I think gives them even more leeway to try certain things out. And for any developer, V2 frames are a really good place to test out an idea like that, where it's not just an isolated web app, um, but it's also not a full mobile app. And you can get trying to find the right words here, but it's just like really well positioned. It's in your app. It has mobile first support. You have all this extra stuff in the SDK. You can send the user notifications. It does like a lot in terms of giving you room to test and to build out a functional app. And so a team like Warpcast doesn't have to add extra space in their app to build new features like rewards. And you as a developer also have a lot of space to test and build out ideas if you can get enough people coming back to it. So I think there's a lot of promise still in there. And yeah, I just think it's really cool they did that. I'm curious to see if they have more feature ideas going forward, if they're just going to build more of those out as V2 frames. There is a channels update. Let's just read through it quickly. It seems like the TLDR though is that channels aren't really moving that much, and if they do more, then they can pay it more attention. But for right now, there's just not much to do there. I think that's their plan with some stuff. Like if you as a developer want to do more in the protocol or something gets more attention or more kind of outreach for it, then they'll prioritize it more. But it just hasn't really seemed like that's happened as much with channels. But let's read through this quickly. Update on channels. It's not a top priority right now. Channels are not expiring. If we end up moving forward with an expiration, we'll give advance notice, consider an indefinite grace period. When it becomes a priority, we'll resolve abandoned and squad channels as part of the expiration. We'll likely decentralize channel creation at that point. However, only when it's top priority. What's higher priority than channels? Continuing to improve frame UX with on-chain interactions as well, especially with the embedded wallet, improving discovery across Farcaster for anyone building or creating something on chain, snap chain and scaling the underlying protocol, cheaper signups, migrating sign in with Farcaster to Farcaster Connect. So it's easier for other clients to provide auth for apps and frames, and rewarding onboarding improvements around invites. That makes sense. Also, why aren't channels more of a priority? Sense is, it's not really scaling, it's not a growth driver, etc. So understood. And the other social update, making spam labels public. Should we make a Warpcast spam categorization? Yeah, this would be interesting to see. It seems like it was a couple weeks ago, but if there are public spam labels, yeah, that'd be cool. All right, and then here on the protocol side, so Snapchain, which they're working on, they're backfilling hub data, they're upgrading Malachite, and they want to have a test net by the next protocol meeting, likely in 2 phases. So it seems like things are gearing up there. That's really exciting to see. Sign up costs they are working on reducing, and then sign up with Farcaster FC Connect seems like it's a little paused with some larger work going on, but just going to make it even easier for other clients to support app key auth, like signer auth, as well as frame auth and stuff like that. So very cool to see. All right, one really exciting thing as well is that Super is now free. So maybe you've heard Supercast from Woj. It is now Super. They have fully changed the name. It's everything is now on super.sc, and the client itself is fully free, which is really exciting. One of the cool things as well is you can create an account without first creating a Farcaster account or connecting one. And so if you want, since it uses Privy, you can even just sign up with an email and then use Farcaster to be able to read, check everything out. And it seems like, and they are using Dymo Pay so that you can just pay on chain without having to use Apple Pay. You can use a bunch of different tokens, which is awesome. They're also building a wallet. They're doing some cool stuff like buying storage units, and it seems like one of the main focuses is around the community. If you join this extra paid community, which is not necessary, you can get into certain airdrops, you can get on a leaderboard. So it seems like he's trying to find ways to incentivize people with like everything going on chain, not making it the only like not making a paid model only like the revenue stream, but trying to like excite people in that other area with rewards and other stuff happening on chain. So that in particular is going to be interesting to see. But even if we just put that to the side, it's awesome that there is another full-fledged free client that you can use at any time if Warpcast is down, if it's not down, built by a great team. I think it's awesome for the protocol. Huge shout out to Woj, and you can tell that he's really leaned into this new direction and has learned a lot from building the past year or so. So huge respect to him and everything he's been able to build. And I'm really excited to see their mobile app. Another thing that I wanted to take a look at as well is weekly hackathon from JP. To be honest, this is not a project I've looked at as much yet, and I've been a little bit off the timeline. So excuse me for having kind of smaller notes today. But what I have seen is that JP made a token, maybe a Clanker token. He's been streaming a bit. He has a V2 frame where he ran this little hackathon and paid people out in the token, maybe. There were some really cool projects put out. Um, so I think this is awesome. I obviously love hackathons. Doing it all in frames. Like I had thought for a while we should move FarHack to V2 frames, which I definitely want to do. I think this is awesome. Doing it all here, doing it with the Farcaster stack. So maybe even find some time to participate in one of these. But huge shout out, JP, and I'm definitely gonna spend more time to look at this later today. All right, I think we have two more things to wrap it up today. Oops, let me copy them in. This reminds me, I gotta update this little show notes site that I made here. Could have some quality of life improvements. All right. So one thing is there is some stuff going on in the EF. I don't really know what it is. Um, Seems like there's like cultural changes happening. Um, but I also saw that there was something happening with Week in Ethereum and how they were had some benefits from EF. So I don't know enough to comment, but there's definitely something going on there. And I I have like a separate comment, but let me just bring up this last note first, and then I'm going to tie it in with something that's not fully related, but it might make more sense in a second. Yeah, one other thing I wanted to go over quickly was Lemone's Farville. It is just like another fun game, cool example of a V2 frame, something that is getting engagement. Um, yeah, I think it's cool to see like more high quality frames and high quality builders building V2 frames. So this is awesome. Huge shout out to Limone. All right. So what I wanted to get to here is there's like two interesting things I'm seeing happening in crypto right now. There's like conversations around this EF stuff, and there are all of these larger bubbles of like non-Ethereum tokens from people. And it just seems like a really interesting time. And there's a lot of like debate, there's a lot of back and forth. Um, I don't actually know where it's going to go with EF. I know that like Vitalik is seems great from everything I've seen. EF seems great. There seem to be a lot of other issues as well, but like I hope everything does well there. And with the other stuff, like maybe everything that's just going on in crypto Twitter this weekend and all these tokens that are coming out and everything. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting. Like crypto, there's definitely a lot of crypto optimism, but there's just like so much different stuff going on that it's hard to keep up with all of it. And at least for me, it's like hard to always take the proper time to like decipher if it's stuff you believe in or not. That makes any sense. Like, I think it's great that people are thinking about all of these different ways to create and use tokens, but there are clearly so much FUD, so much bad activity still. I'm not necessarily talking about like Farcaster, although anywhere in crypto you have like good and bad. But I don't know, like there's some points where you see how much attention the space is getting, but that maybe it's not all stuff that you want to participate in. So that's kind of just my comment on what's going on there. With the EF, I think that's a little different, and I hope it's all going to go well. But I guess the reason I somewhat bunch them together are these like very loud, predominantly ex Twitter focused conversations, clashes that are kind of happening around all of this. And um, I like having good debates about that stuff, but sometimes it can just get very inflated and people can draw them out to these larger terms that don't have as much to do with what's happening in the real debate. Um, but I know as well through a lot of the people that I've met on Farcaster, people who stay in the circles in crypto that they're interested in, a lot of times stay there because they really like those people, they really like their values and building that sort of stuff. And I've met so many different people like that. So I hope that through all these communities, whether it's EF, whether it's crypto Twitter, whether it's tokens on Solana, that kind of some semblance of you know decency and good behavior still prevails. That's what I'm vying for. um all right, I think those are the main notes though. This was fun to go through. I think the main highlights for me were obviously the dev call. I'm really curious to see what happens with the signer stuff, and then there's a lot of cool builders who are just still prodding on, you know, building through early 2025. I'm excited to see what continues, excited to see what protocol updates are happening, what other large Farcaster apps come out in the meantime. And we will be here to cover it all, share the good news with you, hopefully with some more guests as well to give you insights into what they're building and what they're thinking. So thank you so much for spending your Tuesday morning here listening to Farcaster updates with me, dylsteck.eth, and I will see you here next Tuesday. Have a good one.